Hey everyone, today I want to talk about how to overcome your feelings of self-doubt, inadequacy, and all those fears that you have that hold you back from being your true self. This is a common, timeless issue. People have self-esteem problems, people have confidence issues, or they will hold themselves back so much or appear different than they truly are because they think that this false identity will make them cooler to other people so that they will be rejected less and have more friends, belong to a tribe, and so forth. And I'll be the first to say that it's difficult when you are young. I have young viewers who are in middle school and high school, and especially if you go to a small school or you live in a small area, you can just be screwed over by the fact that it's such a small data set that maybe just the 10 or 20 people in your class just so happen to not like you for being yourself, even though if you were in a larger area, you would naturally find people who would be your friend. Now, this is where I think the advice of just be yourself kind of doesn't work, because you're essentially telling people to be themselves in towns or small cities or areas or small communities when there's only a small amount of people, and it just so happens, perhaps out of bad luck, that you live in a place where the tiny amount of people who are there are rude or horrible people, and they'll hate you for being yourself. And being yourself is just going to make it worse. So in that sort of situation, perhaps it may be good to just, once you realize you're in there, just to kind of relax and maybe just hold back a little bit until you find yourself older and able to travel and be in larger schools or larger towns or cities where you can find people who like the stuff you do. And I think another reason why we have these insecurities and self-doubt is because we were rejected, or we had this trauma and we had all these issues in our lives where we were being ourselves, but maybe we were seen as annoying because we were too enthusiastic, or we asked too many questions, or we talked too much, or maybe because we were different and we liked nerdy things or different things and we had different hobbies, we were seen as weird and ostracized. And this happens, like, by definition of large numbers, maybe just out of bad luck you did nothing wrong and you were rejected, or you just people didn't like you and you were made fun of simply because people don't like you for some random weird reason. Now, this actually happens quite often. If you go on any social media platform, anything that has gotten a large amount of views, there will be someone commenting and disliking whatever piece of content it is for the stupidest of reasons. It's just kind of how humans are. We are very different, and for the stupidest or weirdest reasons, we might decide to hate on you. So those instances can kind of just make us withdraw. And essentially what happens is maybe we play it super safe. Maybe we play it too safe. We are constantly quiet. I know that's how I am. We hide ourselves. We don't speak. We don't talk. And we just kind of don't say a thing because we're scared that if we speak up or state our opinions or try and contribute, we get shot down.
I get 10 seconds for the shoot.
So in terms of self-doubt and self-analysis, I have a few action items that I recommend to close out this video that might help you. These are the things that I have found that were helpful after a lot of study and reading on books on psychology and mindfulness and all these best-selling books from therapists and people who deal with anxiety and fear and insecurity. So the first is win story journal. So at the end of every day, I recount and I write down all the things that were a win for me. Even if it was a small win, I celebrate those wins, I celebrate the successes in my life, and I show gratitude for them. And ever since I started doing that, I've been amazed at how many things I've done that I didn't even remember. And yes, sometimes they're really small, like, oh, I went exercising today, or you know what, I did good on this project, and once I delivered it, people were proud of me for it. But those things really put me in a better mood, because naturally, as humans, we tend to focus and dwell on the negative, which really just puts us in a downward spiral. And then the last and final thing that I recommend you do is bid your time and then seek out groups where you have stuff in common, where you can naturally be yourself. I don't subscribe to the extremist viewpoint where people say, oh, there's nothing wrong with you, just always be yourself, you're always right, it's other people's fault. Sometimes you're doing something wrong, so it could be good to just reflect and wonder if that's true and then adjust. Maybe you're really rude all the time, and it may be good to actually, you know, take that into account and improve your emotional intelligence by being more polite and internalize that as part of your true self. On the flip side, there are times when you aren't doing anything wrong in a sense, but just the quirkiness of your nature, maybe you're really nerdy and you have nerdy hobbies, it just doesn't relate with anyone in your tribe. So they don't understand you. Maybe you live in a place where it's very Americanized and everyone only cares about sports. Then you have to kind of bid your time and then move to places where there's larger groups, where there are people who kind of you belong with and you relate to more. Maybe in a city with 1 million people, you're gonna find people in real life who are interested in more nerdy hobbies like anime or something strange like, I don't know, yo-yoing or scootering or tattoos. So just keep that in mind. I think the final thing I want to leave you guys with is just realize that when you are doing this type of stuff, have patience and realize that like there's never going to be like a perfect situation where you're just going to meet someone who's perfectly has your interests in mind, especially in such a diverse world. Like for me, I don't think there's anyone who has the bizarre interests that I have, just because of how I've stretched myself and tried out different things and started enjoying different things. So for example, I like a bunch of weird stuff all combined into one, and some mainstream American stuff. So I've got the anime and manga side to me, which most Americans are like, what the heck, what's that? He's weird, I don't know what this, he likes these weird Japanese comics. And then I have the more American side to me, so I like CrossFit, and so a lot of nerds were like, this guy's a CrossFitter too, that's kind of weird. And then there's a bunch of other stuff I like. I love food a lot, I'm really into eating food, and lately I've been really getting into fashion, and now like other people are like, oh my goodness, this guy's really into fashion, that's kind of weird. And then finally, here I'll throw in the last hobby of mine. I'm also really starting to get into running and activity and exercise and nutrition. And guess what? Most Americans, even some Americans and women and men who look super healthy, they aren't into nutrition at all. So getting all those interests combined in the right way are just, it's rare you'll find someone with all the same things. So that's fine. Just like kind of find groups of people that relate enough to you. This video is getting pretty long. I think the last thing I want to say is that I know that was the last thing, but this is the real last thing. This is the bonus tip here. Sometimes you're going to find other people with just weird hobbies, and you're not going to be into those things. But have an open mind. If you increase how open your mind is to these weird hobbies, you never know, you might be into them. Maybe not. Don't force it either. You don't want to be like someone who tries to force these hobbies, and I've tried that too, and try to convince myself that I like these things when I really didn't. When I really didn't care about being vegan, I don't really care about this or that. So there is a line that needs to be drawn where, you know, you don't try too hard to be something you're not by pretending to like these hobbies. So it's a delicate balance, but there you go. You know, other people have weird hobbies and you can respect them for it, but you don't have to necessarily have everything that they have in order for you to connect on some level and maybe even be friends. Hit that subscribe button. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.